Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast.
Where have you been all day, you old queen? Not so much of the old, you bitch. I've been trolling in Tesco's looking for somebody to fist. Any luck? Not a sniff, but I did see Russell Grant at the fruit counter. Naturally. Ha 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 ha.
Hello, this is episode 218 of the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. I'm Michael Ball. We will be joined shortly by Martin, who is running slightly late, but my other very faithful other co-host, Malcolm Patterson, is here. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good.
So we are going to be focusing on Doctor Who tonight, and to be honest with you, I haven't got a lot of other stuff to talk about. But you tend to hear some things, shows I don't watch. What news have you got you in? Anything you want to share with us?
News-wise, do you know what? Right, I was thinking of stuff, and then suddenly not. I've been kind of, as you know, I've rewatched The Mandalorian.
Yeah, sorry, I meant to reply to that. How's it going?
I found that I found it better this time. I mean, I quite liked it the first time, but I found it even season 3. I found better this time.
I do too. I agree.
One of the big problems I had the last time was I found there were too much filler. Whereas now, once you know how it's going to end up, you can view it more as. And the reason I think it was so successful is because it's like individual comics, just individual episodes that you just tick along and read, and all that. And I think that was the approach, and I think it worked. Then I went on to watch Boba Fett, and that's still as bad as it was the first time I watched it.
I like Boba Fett. I do. I like the.
You know what? Right.
Go on.
I didn't like the fact that they arseholded Boba Fett in favor of a Mandalorian bounty hunter that's actually a good guy, and then they make him not even a bounty hunter anyway. They go with the Grogu storyline. So they decide to bring Boba Fett back, and even then they still don't go with him being a bad guy. All anybody wanted was the guy in the Mandalorian costume fucking shooting people and taking fucking prisoners.
I thought he would be taking his ship, Slave One, and blasting the shit out of people and sort of doing. And he was just like, he's the Daimo, whatever he was. And he was sitting there and
he's nowhere near as big a badass as people make out. The Carl Weathers character, Krieg, whatever it is, the Cobb Vanth character. I mean, even a Cad Bane series would have been better than we got with Boba Fett. I'm really, really not a fan of Ming-Na Wen. I don't.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Why she's in everything and all that? She's. I'm not going to say she's a terrible actress because that's rude, but just I don't enjoy any role she does.
I have to say she didn't stand out at all in Stargate Universe. Like I rewatched that a while ago, and I completely forgot she's even in it.
She's just Captain Winch for the whole bit.
Yeah,
I mean she should have been the forefront of the military in charge camp, and yet she wasn't. She was just a wet fish. Boba Fett's nowhere near as like devastating and all powerful as he makes out in it. Then I went on to the season 3 of Mandalorian. Then I watched Obi-Wan today, which again is not as bad as the first time I watched it, but it is still pretty bad. One bit that really struck me today, which I thought was really funny, was they make this big thing about we've hidden a tracker on board this ship. Wherever he goes, we'll know. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know where he's going. He's going to Alderaan to take fucking Princess Leia back to her mum and dad. All you have to do is go there and wait.
Just go there and wait for him to show up.
Where he goes, come on, walks into the dining room and Vader sat there. We would be honoured if you would join us. You know, that's all they really needed. I mean, thick as fucking shit. All of them. They're just unbelievable. But hey ho. I watched a show I kind of started with a few years back, and then I never carried on. So I've just finished watching season 1 of Stargirl. I don't know where that is.
No, I've not seen that.
Stargirl. So Stargirl is another DC. It was part of the DC universe of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck and all that. Focused on the Justice Society of America are like a wartime or 50s, 60s. Superhero group. You see them killed off at the very beginning, and this is new kids going in to take over what they do. It's a bit kiddified, but it's
all right. Doesn't matter. You can watch things which are more family orientated. I mean,
I'm going to give the second and third series a go, and by all accounts, it was then cancelled, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I'm still trying to finish off the second season of Silo. I've only got 2 more to go, but I've just found that a real drag. I just can't bring myself around to watch
It is
it.
a little bit ploddy. It is a little bit ploddy. I mean, I've kind of read up, and I know for the last episode, the last few minutes of the last episode are a bit of a mind fuck, to be honest.
Oh, so
But
is
I
it worth?
kind of
Is it?
now know.
I was going to say, is it
It's
worth
worth
looking forward
watching.
to?
It's
Yeah.
just-
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just I now know what happens in the series and where it's going and all of that. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
fact it was Rebecca Ferguson didn't hurt, obviously.
Yeah, no, but it's just that she's always stuck in the other silo. Just get back. I was like, it's just been plodding back and forth. Like, I don't know. I'm finding it a bit hard to go in. But I will finish it off. Fallout has just been confirmed. They're going to get a 3rd season of that now, which is interesting.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was pleased about that. I mean, the 2nd season comes at the end of the year, which isn't that long since the 1st season. Or maybe I watched it a bit after it was first released, but was it about a year ago Fallout was season 1 came out? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's last year. So I really want to watch. I really want to watch season 2, Last of Us, but just the reviews.
Oh, fuck that!
If
I've watched
anything,
up. No,
the
I've
reviews
watched.
online are
It's
worse.
shit.
They're
I've
literally
watched.
worse than
I've
the
watched the
latest
first
Doctor Who
4 or
stuff. I just
5.
don't get it.
Yeah, I will finish it, but the 1st season I really enjoyed, and then the 2nd season after a certain character died, which I won't say, although I'll kind of half spoiler it, although you probably
Yeah,
got an
well, I mean,
idea.
anyone who's played the computer game knows that.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a gamer at all,
Yeah,
so
it's
I
one
had
of the
no
big
idea.
things in the computer game. People got really annoyed they killed him off so
Yeah.
early in the
I,
game.
I was really shocked when the episode happened. Season episode 2. I thought, what? And then ever since then, I thought, well, what's the point of the whole show? It's just like, I don't know. And you got the no. I don't like it. It's not.
One reviewer who was particularly unkind said it basically just turned into 2 teenage girls finger blasting every episode. so I'm not saying that is I'm not saying whether I would agree with him or
No,
anything
but
like that.
it's an interesting.
Sounds a little bit rude,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. It's a very odd series, and it's one of those shows where it was like Russian Doll. Did you ever see Russian Doll?
No, I've heard of it. I didn't watch it.
I liked the 1st season a lot. It was like this time loop thing, and then the 2nd season it just completely lost it. It was just completely different perspective.
Is that just to remind me? Is the one in it? Is she the redhead woman from Orange Is the New Black?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she's got red hair. She's a very feisty New Yorker kind of thing, and I've seen her in a few things. I'm 90% sure that she's in both. But the one you're mentioning is, and she's good. She's a great actress, actually. She's really this. You don't mess with her, but if you check out the 1st season at some point. It's been 3 or 4 years old. It's maybe 5 years old, but it's worth a watch because it's a bit of a Groundhog Day kind of thing, and they're trying to get out of it. And then I won't say, but other things happen as well. So I just got to look. I'll see if Marty's still trying to come. It's Oh, Marty's still going to be with us in 10 minutes. Okay, I'll tell them we've already started. We've started.
I've seen Ahsoka season 2, which I'm starting to rewatch that now as well, just to give it the second watch.
You mean season 1, obviously? Yep.
Season 1, yeah, but season 2 is not coming until 2026.
Well, it's interesting because
we've got nothing Star Wars between.
They're talking about a big decline in all the big franchises. Apparently, with the Skydance thing with Star Trek, they, I obviously look at Jay on Star Trek and Chat Tachyon, and he's saying potentially it could be that the stuff that they create will be completely diminished right down. We've got at least another 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds. We've got 2 seasons of Starfleet Academy. They reckon that we'll get a 5th season of Strange New Worlds, and it'll finish off then. That'll be 50 episodes, which is pretty fair enough amount, for a prequel.
2 seasons of a normal show.
Yeah, compared to the old 26 episodes. Yeah, exactly. This is bizarre. Star Wars as well. They reckon that apart from Ahsoka season 2, the people, the powers that be, are going to be focusing more on Star Wars back in the cinema.
Films now, aren't they?
Yeah, both. It's going to switch to films rather than TV shows. So what you might only get on TV is animation shows, and I'm really not into animated shows very much. So
I'm trying with your Clone Wars and your Rebels and that, because I just want the background information that's in them to the live action shows, but I can't. They don't hold my interest.
Yeah, I don't. I've seen all of Rebels and what was the other one? The main one?
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, yeah, sorry. I mean, they're okay. I don't think I'd watch them again, but I just can't get into animated stuff. I've always had this mind block with animation. I don't know why. And I know there's a lot. It's like
I will say again. I will say again. You must
Rick
get
and
over
Morty.
that
I know. I
Rick and
will one
Morty.
day. I will.
It's so funny. But hey ho.
But then, of course, I saw what was that? Lower Decks of Star Trek, and I really wasn't into that.
The same team.
That's what worries me. That's what worries me.
It's absolutely genius level.
Well, why was it so boring? Why
Lower
did we think
Decks
that why was Lower Decks so shit then? Because I thought it was crap. I didn't find it funny once.
Do you know what? Right, I think it's because Lower Decks is Star Trek, and you don't want Star Trek to be comedy. And the people who do like it, they love the in jokes, they love the in references, and all that. Rick and Morty.
I get all the in jokes. I get the in jokes, but I still don't find it funny. It just doesn't. I should say, you know that they want to make a new Star Trek comedy series with that.
Yeah, they want to make a sitcom, don't they? Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm
not sure they want to make one, or if one of the actresses has just suggested it would be a good idea. Sometimes these things, somebody makes a comment and it gets taken out of context. So you've got to be careful there.
I know. I mean, I don't want that. I mean, they've even mentioned maybe a Star Trek horror series or something like. No, I just want. There are sort of like. They always try to bend the parameters in a franchise, and Star Trek has done quite a few bendy bits in recent years with all the stuff that Paramount Plus has done. But and Alex Kurtzman. But I really, the Strange New Worlds, even though it's it's got a mixed bag, it is more. People on a ship exploring, and yes, they have the musical episode. They have the whatever they're doing, but although a lot of people are saying that they want a lot more just ordinary stories, not these quirky kind of things, because you haven't got the episode number to cover it. You haven't got 26 episodes a season.
See, in the first season, I loved the storybook episode where. That to me felt like an actual Star Trek episode, because you would sometimes get that. We had a Next Generation one that's very similar, where the holodeck kept making the mask and all that, and they kept taking data over with various different personalities. So that did seem like an actual Star Trek episode to me, and I enjoyed it. Go to season 2, that fucking god awful sing and dance episode. I tell you, if I ever bumped into Joss Whedon, I'd shoot him in the face for coming up with a concept of a fucking song and dance episode, because every cunt wants to do one now, and it was shit when Buffy did it. Buffy is a brilliant series, and that one episode taints the entire fucking franchise. It's just nonsense. On Buffy news, though, Brie Lassie from Skeleton Crew is going to be the new Slayer in the new series, so I'm quite excited for that.
Okay. That was another series, which Skeleton Crew. It was quite a good show. Even it wasn't brilliant, but it was quite enjoyable. And
I loved it. Did exactly what it said on the tin. It was just a little fucking kids hijack a ship in space and do
in the Star Wars universe. I
thought it was great. I thought it was great.
Yeah. So do you rate that higher than a lot of the other Disney Plus Star Wars series?
I'd say it's better than Ahsoka, because Ahsoka was just the plot holes and nonsense and stupidity of it really fucking bugged me. It's probably better than Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan was a tough sell trying to have the two of them meet again, but override the fact that they'd clearly not seen each other for a long time at the beginning of A New Hope and all of that. So that was difficult. So I think it's better. I found it more enjoyable than that. I definitely found it more enjoyable than Boba Fett. I definitely found it more enjoyable than The Acolyte. I'd say it was a different show to Mandalorian, to be fair.
So would you rewatch The Acolyte if you're going through the other Star Wars series, or can you not face that again?
I just don't think there's anything in it to rewatch, to be honest. I'm about to. I've just listened in my car. I listen to audiobooks when I'm driving to and from work. I've just done Jeremy Renner's My Last Breath, where he talks about the snowplow accident, which is very good. And then I'm just about to listen to the 4th book of Stephen Fry's Mythos series, where he talks about Homer's Odyssey. When that one's done, I should be listening to the Darth Plagueis books, because I really want the background to that. Everybody's been talking about it since The Acolyte, and I want to know about it. So the only thing to cut a long story short, the only thing I'd go back and watch on the Acolyte is the 15 nanoseconds of his hand.
You
on
actually
the
see him
wall,
at the end.
just to see whether that definitely is Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, they do say it is. They do say it is. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And obviously, we're going to be focusing on the start Doctor Who thing. We can mention this because although it's not the main focus of the week, it is kind of linked. Did you see the trailer for the war between the land and the sea?
Yes. Which
what do you think of that?
To be fair, right? Okay. To be fair, I watched it with no sound. I can't remember why, but I watched it with no sound, and it just looks god awful. There are even people saying that the main alien character in it, that bluish woman, they're saying like, oh, hopefully she's not a Silurian, or she might not be a Silurian because he's obviously changed it too much. The shot you see of an actual sea devil looks awful. It really does.
I didn't see it. Did we actually see a sea devil then?
There's two clips. One of it's kind of peeking out. It's kind of like a dragon head with big eyes, and it just doesn't look good. It really doesn't. And I know that the second appearance in Classic Who was the whole, their heads were all lopsided because they couldn't keep them up properly.
Yes.
But even that looked better than this. Hey, I don't want to keep harping back to Classic Who was better, but they looked more believable than this. Russell Tovey, I just think is a shit actor. I don't like to say that, but I've never seen him in anything.
I've seen him in. I think he's a bit overrated. I've seen him in a few things. I've never been that impressed with him.
Don't judge him at all. People are going, oh, he should be the new Doctor and all that.
Oh no.
There was even rumours that hit over on grapevine when people firmly got onto the thing of rewrites and that Ncuti Gatwa was leaving. There were even people saying that Russell Tovey would be the new Doctor, and he would be introduced in The Land and the Sea, and all that. And I was like, oh, fucking please no. Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, I've never liked her character except in this last season, the episode with Conrad where she fucking gets a bit of a bitch on. I really liked her character in that, and if she's like that in The Land and the Sea, then it may have some potential. But other than that, I don't really like her. If I'm honest, the funniest thing when I finished watching Doctor Who, and I immediately went to Facebook, and the first thing when I turned on Facebook, the first thing that came up was just a huge big flash of WTF exclamation, and the comment the guy put was, it goes, I've produced less shit the last time I had food poisoning, was his comment at the start. I just thought that was fucking brilliant and literally summed up that episode.
Well, we're gonna if Martin's back soon, we'll obviously talk about it. I mean, I think what we'll do is we might actually we might stop in a minute and wait until he's back. But we'll because like I said, unfortunately he's running late. I mean, no, I mean, I'm interested to talk about this Doctor Who thing, and like I said, it certainly was a very bizarre 1 hour 6 minutes of my life that I watched last week, and it was interesting that they actually sort of didn't do the what's it called, iPlayer, like hours before to stop the spoilers going through. So. Yeah, all right, we'll talk about that.
No,
so,
I think that was to try and G up the actual ratings for that episode, because now they've got for all the talk of ratings, they're meaningless. People watch all the people don't understand that a show still has to have an impact, and there is a massive difference between the ratings of people who watch a show the second it airs because they have to watch it, and people who just watch it during the week when they can be arsed with it. And all that, those people count less. Despite what they say, they do count less.
So, do you think they in the future? Do you think they might not have that releasing things early on iPlayer? They'll keep it like the old-fashioned. It's got to be live and then it's streamed on iPlayer, or they trying to sort of do these ways of incentives and stuff and getting people to watch it. Well, as you say, you've got the iPlayer, you've got the nerds like us who, well, not you, but me, who I would watch it in the morning about 8 hours before it's released, properly aired on BBC. I don't know. I mean, it's funny because the whole streaming thing is all turning to shit now. It's all, the streaming sites are losing their... You're right, mate.
Oh, that's right. It's just a customer came in. I was trying to mute it, but I couldn't find the mute button.
Mate, sorry. No, that's all right. Yeah, but it's kind of like the whole thing of streaming is really kind of gone past its peak now, and this is the problem. But then people are never going to go back to live TV. So I don't know. It's a very sort of strange time. I've no idea in the future how it's going to be with media and how people watch
You see,
things.
the thing with it is that there will still be like, so for instance, on Paramount, say when Strange New World, when they've released a new episode on let's call it a Thursday night at 7 o'clock, the people who watch between on Thursday night 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock that watch it like literally as it's been released carry more weight because they had to watch it there and then than anyone who watched it Friday week later on. It will still be views that are counted, but they count for less because it's not must watch TV anymore. People would the thing about Doctor Who is it will still be they're always going, oh, it's like third on the thing there, but people are still watching Britain's Got Talent rather than watching fucking Doctor Who. Then you had a football match, huge ratings plummet.
Yeah,
and then Eurovision Song Contest,
it goes back up again.
It does. That sends a fucking message. It really does. Going, oh, but those people just catch up with it later in the week. No, that's not what you're seeing with that.
That's telling you. It's the basic telling you. It's telling you that they're not into it. They don't want to see it. They're turning over or turning off. It has to be.
Yeah.
And this is why I think that Ncuti was at one point considering being in the third season, and he was on an interview with somebody. What's that Irish guy? I can't think of his name.
Oh, Graham Norton.
Graham Norton, and he said that they were gearing up to film the third season, and then it was cut. It was actually when it was live. He said that, and then it was cut for iPlayer.
Yeah, see, I wasn't obviously there, but my view on that when it kicked out was, firstly, people seem to think that a Graham Norton show, you're seeing everything that's filmed. You're seeing, if you ever go and watch one, what goes out on TV, you're seeing about fucking 40% of what is there. They're always editing stuff out. And my guess, all that happened with Ncuti was something was said, and he just meant, because he's not allowed to say one way or the other, he just mentioned about filming a third season. That was it. It is, and it was just somebody in the audience was going, oh fucking hell, he's some thick dipshit who doesn't know. Took it out of context because they're so fucking stupid, immediately tweeted it around the fucking world, and it was something that was a comment that would probably been edited out anyway, to be honest. I don't think it had nearly as much weight as everybody thought it did.
But I mean, you must think that like I said, I mean, we really want to get into the actual discussion, but I'm trying to sort of go around the edge of it because Martin's not here. So I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I mean, do you think that after the first season that Disney thought, well, look, we're not very happy with this. The ratings really are a bit shitty. We'll obviously see what happens for season 2. Or do you think? I reckon. I mean, do you think Disney are kind of? I think they're gone. I don't think they're going to be back.
I don't think Disney were as big a player as everybody's making out. Okay. I don't think they had nearly as much input as everybody said. They just owned the international fucking distribution rights through their channel, and anyone can fucking do that, to be brutally honest. I don't think they had as much say on what went down. I don't think anybody really gives it. People going, oh, now Disney have sacked Ncuti, they should sack Russell. It's got fuck all to do with them. They're a distribution center. They got they have a little say. He did say they have a seat at the table, but having a seat at the table is a far fucking cry from having any kind of creative input or control over how anything's done. I think they did have input. I think they did, they did say, oh, if we're going to air it on our streaming network, it needs to comply with this, and this. But everybody going, oh, Disney woke and all that. Tuning into fucking Disney, they have the stars. Look at Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad are all on the fucking Disney Channel, for fuck's sake. Tell me that they're not, that they're all fucking woke in any way, shape or form.
I've got a very interesting. Hang on, sorry, Malcolm. I've got a very interesting thing. Someone in the waiting room called Space is come along. Is that Martin? Shall I let them on to see who this is? This could be interesting.
Yeah, why not? You won't have sent the link to anyone else.
Yeah, I've just said it internally, but it says Space. I don't know. This is interesting. It is Martin. Oh my god! I thought, who the fuck's this? It just said Space. The Final Frontier. Is that you? Have you changed your Let's see. I don't know what he's saying. He's getting his headphones on. It's okay. We can hear us yet.
He's probably at work.
No, he's back. He's got he's faded out. Hello. Hello, Martin. Hello, Space. How are we doing? Waiting for a response. Beep, 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 beep. Remember the old phones that used to go beep, 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 the phone box phones. He's looking. And we're going to keep all this because sometimes I like to No, he's not sure. He's messing
Hello.
about.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear us? Hello. 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 Oh,
Oh,
hello. Hello.
I don't think he can hear us.
I don't think he can. Let's have a look. Let's wave at him. Wave at him. Hello.
Yeah. Speak.
Speak. All right. Well, Marty's in the background. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it'd be interesting to see whether the BBC, as you say, if the Disney doesn't have as much clout as people have suggested, then it may well be that whatever happens, whether Russell T Davies will continue, or whether they will.
Hello.
Hello. No, he's not gonna. I tell you what I'm gonna do at this point. I think this would be a good point. We're gonna put up a pause at this point, and we'll have 10 minutes to reset ourselves, and then we'll be back for the full review. I think. Let's just see any more. One more chance of Martin. He's not there, so we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Okay, Malcolm.
Yeah. All right. No worries.
I mean, 10 minutes for us, not for you. We're gonna be right back now because it's all the editing and all this sort of stuff, which is really boring for people who are watching. Don't want to talk about. We'll be right back. Here we go with our focus of the week. Here we go.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi.
focus of the week.
Right, okay, and we're back. Martin has now joined us. Apparently, because he's got a new laptop, it wasn't having it. He came up with a different name on linking up on Zoom, and then of course he's had to delve out the old faithful laptop, and he's here, and looking like the normal Martin with a TV screen behind him and all this sort of stuff. How are you doing, Martin?
I'm doing very well. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
there have been things going on. Yeah, he's had a few
you
things.
guys.
Yeah, but it's good to see you. But it's nice that you've finally arrived, and you've had a few problems with delivery, and it's all hopefully now sorted out. We've already talked about a bit of news, so we're just really going to go into the focus of the week, because really this is the main topic, because we've got a lot to talk about. So so how do we start, guys? Do we just talk generally, or do we want to go via episodes? Anybody have any particular way they want to treat this very unique season of Doctor Who?
I think we should talk about the finale first, and then
You want to do it in reverse or something? All right. So we saw the finale, and it was, what was the episode called again? I can't remember what it's called now. Which world was the one before? Reality War. Okay. And I mean, it's somebody said actually that they were reminded a bit on the last episode of Star Trek Discovery, and when that happened in Discovery, do you remember that they didn't know that they were going to be cancelled, so they had they finished off the story, and then it dragged on for about another half an hour afterwards because they filled some extra stuff because they didn't know initially that it was going to go that way. This was a similar thing where they had this story which they wrapped up in 35 minutes with the Rani, the two Ranis, not the two Ronnies. They had a joke about that, which I quite liked. And obviously Omega. And then they had this half an hour sort of like dragging thing with Poppy. This kid who apparently she was in Space Babies. I didn't remember her being in Space Babies. Where they got reality back, but reality was 1% off. And so the Doctor had to get the reality back to get Poppy back, but because he was going to get Poppy back and change reality to 1%, he was going to die. Okay, what the fuck? Malcolm, go on. What do you think?
I don't know. I got actually hauled over the coals for saying somebody had posted like, "Oh, I wonder how they're going to wrap it up," and I'd gone like, "Well, considering he's very good at these." Wow, kind of cliffhangers, but absolutely shit at resolving them. It'll all be resolved with a wave of his magic wand and some tears. And oh god, they leapt on. Oh, there you go. And one guy even went, "Oh, he hasn't even got his his sonic screwdriver with him up in Wish World. How's that going to work?" And all this. And then after the episode, Soko will come back on and she replied, she goes, "Ha, see, it wasn't a wave of his magic screwdriver." And I went back and said, "Did you miss the bit where?" She looked like she destroyed it, but really he'd hijacked hers, and that's how he saved the day. Did you miss that bit? You know, or is it just that you see what you want to see? And she got back with, "Well, there were no tears, though, were they?" Only for the fucking audience.
That's to get some sort of comeback with the tears thing. Yeah, I know.
The Omega thing was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like there's massive arguments about how much of the last episode were rewrites, and I feel like all of it was. I think just basically what he did. Yeah, I'm probably not, but just it was just so shit. I can't understand what he had in his mind, like to pull. Like literally to try exactly what he did with Suter when he knew the backlash he got from fucking Suter Cup,
Yeah,
and then he did exactly the same thing.
Exactly the same
You
thing.
know?
Yeah.
But
Very, very parallel.
I mean,
Very similar.
I lost it when Tucci with the doctor says, Omega's the worst of all the Time Lords. No, he's not. He wasn't a fucking Time Lord, you fucking goon. You're not Time Lords until he'd harnessed the power and died doing it. So he was never a fucking Time Lord anyway. You think you'd know that, you thick shit.
Yeah, they also said that he were banished. They said that he never was. They lost him in an explosion.
Yeah.
What happened at the end? That episode, Peter Davison, he was in the one in Amsterdam, wasn't it? And what happened to him in the end of that?
Antimatter.
Antimatter.
Not any kind of underverse.
No, it was antimatter. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, antimatter universe. And there was no mention of that. And then I don't know. And then he's a big bone fucking. And here's another bit as well. Okay, so he's Sancho and he goes, "Oh, I will have all of these Time Lords to fucking eat." And all that. Okay, well, how about work with her and fucking make some before you eat one of the last two
it's
or
like
three
cooking. He could cook up some Time Lords and eat them. Yeah, it's like it'd be a
just fucking ludicrous nonsense.
All right, Martin, what do you think? Go on.
You know, I 2 weeks ago we'd seen one of the episodes and it was okay, but we did say that they're gonna fuck it up. We did say that the ending, the big, and we were right. I knew when I went into this, and it were one get out clause after another, and I sat through it. I couldn't believe what I was saying. They've destroyed 3 major villains. Like they've just leveled them. Sutek finished. No point bringing him back. Omega, I was expecting to walk out of the vault door with a helmet on and
looks have some recognizability.
All powerful.
Yeah.
Loads of energy around him, and he's all powerful. And instead, we got this monster thing that each Time Lords that came out, and the Rani were totally pointless. We've had 2 years of Mrs. Flood.
Oh, that just dragged on like anything, didn't it?
2 years, the Mrs. Flood, and she were fucking pointless. And her other Rani, like, said Time Lords are stagnant, they can't have kids. Then explained the Master as a kid looking through the schism. And I'm sat there and I'm watching 50 years of Doctor Who just being totally just destroyed. And then he started crying, then he went everywhere, he went running about like Andor, he was running about like it, going, I love you, telling everybody how he loves. And he gets right excited about his new generation. He goes off in TARDIS and she's got this kid to whoever, and it were meant to be his kid, and then I thought, is that Dr. Ruth as a, and obviously it's Poppy, she was a kid, and they never really explained the Pantheon of God saga. They were going to do something.
What about Susan? Susan never turned up again.
They never explained Susan,
no.
And he went out into space, and this music kicks in. He goes, he opened the door.
I love you.
The universe were there, and he shouted out with his arms, I love you, and he exploded. And I sat there and thought, right, that's where they're going to finish it. That's where it should finish. Give it some fucking dignity. Just a bit of dignity, because we don't have much left. And he stood there, and fucking Billy Piper going, oh, hello. and I sat there. And millions of people across this great nation of ours kick the coffee tables up in the air at the same time. And I sat there and I messaged you too. And I've given up. I've written it fucking off.
You say that
And
every
then
year. You say that every year.
We
But
got the
truth is-
trailer. We got the trailer for The Land and the Sea.
We
and that
talked
looks
about
like a
that
bag
as
of
well.
shit.
Yeah. Very
Bag
much
of
so that.
shit. Bag of shit.
So the rumor mill
Me and
says
Doctor Who are finished.
Susan
That's
filmed
it.
final scenes with him. They did say Susan filmed final scenes with him, but when the reshoots came, she wasn't available, which is why they used Jodie Whittaker instead.
Oh,
Basically, that's what it
really?
goes down.
Oh, that's
And in
because
terms of
yeah,
Billie Piper,
yeah.
what I don't. This is what I always think. Where you seriously don't read the message I send you, Martin, because I told you he was regenerating to Billie Piper earlier in the week. That
Yeah,
was
I don't
released
think
on what?
I
Monday?
heard
you
it.
did.
I heard about that.
No.
No, but everybody thought that was bullshit. We all thought it was bullshit. We thought
Yeah.
it was too obvious, and it actually happened.
Yeah, I thought that.
It
Yeah,
actually
I didn't
happened.
think they'd do it.
I genuinely think where you've got Mrs. Flood, I genuinely think last year he had no fucking idea who Mrs. Flood was. He was just putting this character in at the end of every episode to make everybody go, woo! And it got to the end of the season and it wasn't resolved because he had no fucking idea. He did not know who she was going to be. And then he spends the rest of the year reading everybody's socials, listening to what people are saying, trying to fucking get an idea because he hasn't got one in his own fucking brain.
It wasn't actually.
Finally settled on, okay, I can't do the Master again, much as I really fucking want to because I have to. So he went with the Rani, who was basically the Master anyway, because the complete change of character, she was the Master. Missy was more the Rani than the Master, and fucking the Rani is more the Master than she was the Rani. Fucking, well, the guy's an absolute cunt. So you get to all of that going on. And then he finally has to resolve it this quickly because he literally can't. He's stolen the ideas, but he doesn't know how to fucking resolve it because he's a shit, useless fucking dickhead writer. And he has been since fucking 2005. Go back and watch the episodes that he himself wrote in 2005. He was a fucking useless prick hack back then. And this whole bit with Billy, where everybody's going, oh, it's going to be this. He doesn't fucking know. He wrote that last week. Put it on to film it. Put it on to the fucking. He's got no idea. He's got 2 years now to try and think. Well, who the fuck is she supposed to be? And he'll fuck it up as well.
No, hopefully they're gonna look. Russell T Davis, if you're watching this, I'd just like to say, can you please fuck off, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, honey.
Just please, we the brothers of the Solo and Sci-Fi.
And make sure, and if you are going to fuck off, make sure you take Stephen Moffat and Chris fucking Chibnall with you, so they're nowhere fucking near the thing.
Do you know?
Yeah,
do you know
absolute
what I think
fucking
as
nut.
I like Stephen Moffat. I thought it was. I didn't mind
You know
him.
that you might not agree
He's
with
the
it. You
reason
know that
the fucking
regeneration
sonic
thing.
screwdriver is some magic wand.
Who did?
You
What
know the
Moffat?
regeneration thing.
Yeah, he came
At
up with
the
all the
end.
fucking bullshit he does.
Yeah, I think because he's had so much bad press over the last year or so. I think he did that as a big fuck off at fan base.
Yeah,
I
but
don't even
he's
think he
been
did
doing
that. I think
that.
he's
I
too
don't.
stupid to do something like that.
No, but he's
But that show
ever
ended
since,
like that
right?
because he doesn't know what he's doing.
But Russell
Why
Davis
would
has
you
been
do that?
saying
Why would you put Billie Piper like that? Why would you put her in like that?
as a
Why?
gimmick, as a
Again,
way
it
of
wants
getting.
attention.
It's a
Because
gimmick.
did you see the internet Saturday night? Did you see it?
No.
Did you see it? Because I
He
watched
just
them
needs,
at
he
Brentford.
needs
I
people
came
to spend
I
2
came into
years
the
going,
Brentford show.
oh my
They were all
God. He
kicking
has
off.
to keep the fucking show in the forefront of everyone's minds for 2 years. If the show had just faded to black and we don't know is Shooty staying, is he going, no one's going to talk about it for 2 years. If he just started to regenerate,
And that's
we
the
know he's
end. Yeah.
regenerated, but
Yeah.
we didn't see who it was, no one's going to talk about it for 2 years. Billie Piper, everyone is going to talk about this until the fucking show comes back again. And
I
that's
don't
what
want
he
it
wants.
coming
He has to
back.
keep
No,
it
no,
at the
it's finished
forefront
now.
of everyone's fucking mind.
It's finished now. It's gone.
It'll be
It's
back.
gone.
They can't get rid of it. They can't stop it.
I mean,
They'll.
they're already saying that Stephen Moffat's actually writing a Christmas special, which will resolve the Billie Piper thing.
Fucking hell.
Well, I've
Why
told
do-
you.
why-
I've
Russell
told
T
you about the
Davies.
thing. I was going to say I had the idea about how they're going to actually fix the actual idea of this, and I posted this on the Tachyon Pulse. You know what they're going to do? Because people said this is quite a good idea. When at the end the regeneration started and we saw Billie Piper goes, "Hello," she was still regenerating, right? And as the regeneration as it started, you saw that the energy hit the TARDIS console, right? The TARDIS console, if you remember, Billie Piper opened
into
up.
it.
the heart of the TARDIS, and she kind of had this sort of link with the TARDIS.
Bad Wolf.
What I reckon, Bad Wolf. What I reckon is that this is like an intermediate kind of stage where the Bad Wolf of the TARDIS has kind of reflected with the Doctor remembering this character, and it's like a temporary shell. The regeneration can't finish because this is the first regeneration since the bi-generation. And so the only way I think, and I really think this is going to happen, to sort out the whole mess is you're going to have to get David Tennant's 14th Doctor back in an episode where they're having an adventure, and eventually they have to, they split with Ncuti. They've got to somehow come together, if you pardon the expression, and then become the next Doctor kind of thing. I just think it's going to be something to do with the bi-generation causing some anomaly with this. I know it's not. I'm not explaining it so well. It's better to put it down in writing. But I think that David Tennant will be back at Christmas next year, and this will get all the people watching it again with Jodie Whittaker, the two people, and then they'll have a new Doctor who will probably be hopefully a man.
You could even, they wouldn't, but you could even, using that sort of similar plotline, you could even literally reset the show back to Jodie Whittaker's regeneration into David Tennant and claim that from that moment on,
like loop it round,
toy maker bollock. Yeah, everything was a toy maker bollock, and just bring back fucking.
So erase the 15th Doctor then. Erase Ncuti completely.
You could do a Dallas.
Every
Tennant were in the shower all along.
That's a similar thing.
Picture going around Facebook of Peter Capaldi with the towel on his head, having just stepped out of the shower. That's doing the rounds at the moment.
Obviously, I just think they could have had so much potential, like the villains, and they turn Omega into this thing, and I'm sat there thinking, what? That's not Omega. Why aren't they walking out with helmet on, being all powerful? And the other thing now, he could just summon up regeneration energy and restore reality, firing energy beams out of his hand now.
Let's
get a quick fix. There's a space fleet. I'll just summon up regeneration energy.
But how are we pronouncing this? Is it Omega? Because he pronounced it about 15 different fucking ways in the episode. So what are we saying? Is it Omega like it used to be, or is it now Omega? Which is what
when I watched the film with Tom Heston, I always call it the Omega Man.
Yeah, he's Omega.
Right.
Omega is kind of how they pronounced it back in the day. But now
is it an American thing? Is it in America they say Omega and we say Omega? I don't know.
If you imagine, there's an episode of classic Battlestar Galactica where Starbuck gets done for murdering one of his companions. No, that's not him. The guy on the flight deck in the blue suit. His name is Omega. They call him Omega.
you can't say it now.
That's the American pronunciation. We always call it Omega.
Do you think the last 2 years has been a waste of space?
Yeah.
There were shining lights in this season. There were some okay.
Yeah,
this was better season. This was a better season. Yeah,
splashed it away.
There was the two things. I can't deny that.
The Rani was never better. The Rani is only parallel to Romana herself as being capable of carrying her own TV series. The Rani, a planet of people that she's come to care about is in danger, so she goes off doing amoral fucking experiments and shit to try and get a cure for her fucking people. Any series like that could have worked, except they brought this shit fucking wannabe master bullshit and then had her fucking eaten 2 seconds later. And some people are saying, why didn't he eat the fucking Anita Dobbs one?
Yeah.
That really is shit.
So what happens now? With Anita Dobson, if she regenerated, would she turn into, again, another copy of the one that's just got eaten?
Well, there's all these arguments now as to whether she can regenerate again, because people are going, but if she can regenerate, that means that the 14th David Tennant Doctor can regenerate, and that can't be true because we've had duty. And all that. Russell T Davies has done exactly what he wanted. He has got the whole fucking world talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah, but not in a good way. not in a good way.
It's 70-30. You got the 30% of morons, but I'm still getting the same stuff. Somebody goes on and goes, fucking what a load of shit. You go and why did you think it was shit? And they will literally list every fucking reason why it was shit. Somebody goes, actually, I think it was a fantastic episode. You go, okay, cards on the table. What was fantastic about it? And they go, you're a fucking racist. And that's the end of it. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's all you get from it, because the people who say they like it don't. They don't like it. They just feel they have to fucking defend it.
Yeah.
On Saturday night,
Discovery.
On Saturday night, I went on YouTube, and my God, there were more live streams about it than anything else. There were groups of people kicking off left, right, and centre. And I came across the Sense Fair, and I watched 10 minutes of it, and I moved on. But they were all kicking off. Everybody were kicking off. Everybody.
They've been doing that since the fucking channel was born.
But the thing is, Russell D. Davey, now, you can either say the guy's a genius because he's got them all reacting, and this is going to go on for a while. You know what I mean?
But it's not.
He has left. Look at us now. We're carrying on about it.
Yeah.
But I think because he's had so much bad press over the last couple of years, and trying to force his narrative on all of us as well, which he has done. Right, and I think that was a big fuck off to fan base. I think it was.
Why did he?
He went fuck you like that.
Why was he always forcing his narrative? Why was he not just generating, creating good science fiction?
I can't understand that.
This is the whole problem.
I would love to go back to 2005 when the internet was in its infancy in terms of these kind of discussions. Grab all the people that cunted me off for saying that Russell T Davies was shit and pushing fucking agendas and pushing this. Not in a bad. I'm not an anti thing. I just don't think you need to ram stuff down your throat. You can have a gay character. It's not a problem at all. Have a gay character. All fine. There's no one just don't keep telling the audience that they must be gay themselves, which is what he was doing.
Malcolm,
everybody there was tearing me apart. I'd love to bring them now and say, now tell me I was fucking wrong.
I think you can get a political message across with decent science fiction, right?
Of course.
And that's all you need to do. But in this, and even under Jodie, they were forcing it.
Yeah, you could tell a story, and you can get any message you want into a story, and people will absorb it as part of the story. But don't just fucking say, right, this week we're gonna fucking tell you this, and then you just get the audience.
Was it partly
have a little scanty story around it?
Was it partly a BBC initiative for all this, or was it Russell T Davies and the people? I mean, you know what I mean? I've said for years that the BBC are very, very tick boxy, and if anything, they're getting worse. So was it partly, or was it like Russell T Davies the first time around? He thought, oh look, I want to do this. I want to get these messages there. I want to promote all this. And now 20 years later, I can just do anything. I'm going to do everything I can to throw all my own personal perspectives on this TV show for my own agendas. I just don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's so? Is it a BBC thing? Is it a Russell T Davies thing?
Is it a Disney thing? Is it because they gave him £100 million? Did Disney?
Well, no, I don't know.
Disney didn't have anything like that amount of say in what was being done. Nothing. No. They would have put a few things through. Said, "Oh, if you're going to be on our channel, you can't do this and you must do that." Blah blah blah. Or you'd have to go onto the Stars part of their network. But that's it. They had no real. The idea that they were the big controlling fucking force behind everybody is just folly and useless.
But they will have had some say. They gave him £100 million.
So I watched and promote their own fucking channel.
I watched 2 Capaldi episodes Saturday night. The one, The Flood, with the underwater base.
Oh yeah, I didn't mind that one.
I watched that, and I watched it. I watched the 2 parts together. That were far superior than the 2 years I've had to sit through.
But you still,
there is a change in that
episode. Had a massive fucking cliffhanger of the Doctor being dead with the fucking eyes, and then the next week, how they're going to get? And they just pissed away at fucking stupid. With the magic fucking screwdriver, and again, it was all resolved.
Yeah, but the quality of the story writing and everything, it was far superior
in comparison to what we have now. But it wasn't that good back then.
Yeah, why didn't they write like that? I can't understand it. And they've had 2 years. I mean, 2 years storyline, Mrs. Flood. all of it all accumulated in the last 2 weeks, and it's achieved nothing. We got nothing. Susan were dropped. The Time Lord thing were forgotten about. The Pantheon of these gods that were buried. The baby, the wished baby.
Oh God, yeah.
And then, oh yeah, don't get the one him the right wing propagandist him were doing all the propaganda and that. Matt, what was his name?
Good to see. I can never remember his name.
Ended up working in a coffee shop in Lewisham, and he were happy. I mean, it was just lazy, all of it, wasn't it? All of it. You know, he was put on to do the propaganda in that weird world.
They brought all these characters back in unit. We had, Mel, and we had the professor scientist woman in the wheelchair, and they even brought the Rose character back and all that. What's her name? Donna's daughter.
Rose. Yeah.
It was like literally the number one character of the new season's fucking unit was the little kid on his little fucking skit. Where the fuck was he? He was a brilliant character. Why the fuck wasn't he back?
I've forgotten about him until you mentioned him. Actually.
Yeah, do you remember when she wheelchair went all rocket powered? And jet engines, remember?
She was telling the doctor that there's a ramp now in the TARDIS, and she was getting very excited about that. Oh, it's about time. You're moving with the times, Doctor. I'll piss off.
And they left a mystery in as well. You know the Time Hotel?
Oh, yeah.
Who's the boss?
Yeah, people are talking about that being Susan.
Yeah,
there are people saying that the Doctor has actually regenerated. That Billy Piper is actually the Rani that's taken over the Doctor. Just the slew of bullshit fucking theories and that all over the fucking internet at the moment is hilarious. And shit as they all are, they will still be a billion times better than what we eventually end up with.
Yeah. I reckon that the Time Hotel is the TARDIS.
So you reckon
and the boss is the new Doctor.
Rassilon?
The Time Hotel's just the last remnants of the new Gallifrey.
No, I reckon it's Candyman. I reckon Candyman's running the hotel.
Yeah, could you imagine?
You know, if they brought him back, they'd mess it up.
I'm amazed they haven't brought back Candyman.
Candyman, a jelly baby, a gummy bear. It's like a little fucking the new pantheon, the pantheon of the fucking.
Yeah, but can you imagine
people.
if they did that and he was the big bad for the finale? He'd be a huge CGI Candyman, sort of like coming through, like I'm Candyman. I don't know. I mean,
that looks like a hot dog.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know. So I suppose really, I mean, so in 2 years' time, when do you all think it's going to be back? Do you think it's going to be 2 years' time? Is it? I mean, it's going to continue, isn't it? I think. I don't think it's going to get.
There is scope to say that it may come back at Christmas, but I think the actual series proper. I mean, the Billy Piper thing's a bold move for something you think is going to be 2 years down the line, because she could be unavailable. You know, she's not going to keep her fucking diary open, for 2 years down the line.
But does that indicate then that maybe it's not going to come back? That she just did this because she knows
I think it's going to come back earlier
than
2 years. I think it's going to come back earlier than 2 years.
Okay.
No, please don't.
If only in like a Christmas special, where between now and Christmas they're busy recruiting their new fucking Doctor, and then we'll get a Christmas special that introduces the new Doctor.
Do you think they've got time to film a Christmas special before? I mean, they should do, because it's still like 6 months away or whatever. But I mean, from what I've heard, if they do film the next episode, it will be the Christmas special, not this Christmas, but the next Christmas. I don't know why it takes a year and a half, but it seems to take that long for them to do these things these days.
Yeah. There was one guy on Facebook that was quite funny, because he said, they can't have refilmed 30 minutes of footage in a week. That's impossible. And I was like, really? Have you never been to see like a 30-minute episode of fucking Blackadder or something being filmed? It's done in 4 hours. Yes, they do reshoots later on and there is post-processing, but that's 4 hours. The idea that they can't refilm 30 minutes of a Doctor Who episode inside a week and edit it all for to run is you're talking bullshit, mate. Of course they fucking can. They can make a fucking entire movie in fucking 4 weeks.
Yeah, but it's the special effects though, isn't it?
That's what slows it down. And also the special effects are being done.
If I put my arms out now and say I love you both, right? Will you make me regenerate in the special effects?
Oh, I could try. If I remember, it'll be now. But If there's a regenerated green screen, what do you want to turn you into? What do you want to look like?
I don't know.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. This is all going to be. You're going to be just looking like you are now because I haven't got time for all that.
Well, give me hair then. Give me some hair.
Listen, we don't need the regeneration effect. All you want to do is put a little. You just want to put a little bit of sellotape on this eye, down like that, and get a little white kitten and a big back chair. Just go, aha, Mr. Pond, I've been expecting you.
All right. So, what do we rate this season out of 10 then? So, Malcolm, what would you give this out of 10?
Up until the last two-parter, I would have given it as high as 6. But the sheer albatross factor of that bullshit at the end, I've got to drop it down to 0. It was I can't give it any more than that. It was absolute bullshit. The investing time, effort, and money of anything in the last 2 years of this fucking show has just been an absolute waste of fucking time and effort.
Okay, all right, Martin.
I've been doing this for quite a long time now. I've never gone 0, but I'm gonna go with Malcolm. I'm gonna give it a 0.
Well, so this is because of the whole last episode that the whole season is a 0.
Yeah, because
the massive drag factor of how bad
the
this
drag
was.
factor.
Everything he did, all the stuff that he did leading to the shit off. It just no.
A 2-year storyline that went absolutely nowhere, and it achieved nothing. They spoiled 3 characters that are iconic, and after the shit show Saturday night, I am sorry, but 0. At the moment, me and Doctor Who are totally disconnected.
You say that every year, Martin. You've said that to me for
You'll be
6
watching
years.
it when it comes back.
Well, of course I'm going to watch the next lot, but I always say there could be hope, but after what I've seen over the last 2 years, I've just not seen. I think it's time to put it away for about 5, 6 years.
Okay, all right. I'm going to give my vote as well. I was going to give it a 6, but fuck it. I'll give it a 0 as well. Go on then. Make it 3 zeros. Fuck it. It is. Come on. I mean, I'm really trying to be positive, but it has been shit. It's been.
Would you have it in the collection?
To be a completist, yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I've got every episode.
To be a completist, I agree with that.
So I would.
But I don't want it after Capaldi. That's it. I don't want them.
Well, maybe
I've never gone back to a Jodie Whittaker episode. Never.
I have. And if anything, it's watching her after the dross we've had for the last 2 years. It's a lot better.
I think my favourite episode of hers was the Flux, the Christmas special.
See, the Flux I've never watched. It's the only Who I've never watched.
Very good.
I get to about the 2nd episode and I can't do any more.
It's about 8 episodes, isn't it? Or 6 episodes?
Yeah. I get as far as the little Sontaran bloke in the war hospital.
Oh yeah. And he just we'll try it. Try it at some point. It's funny with Doctor Who. I mean, I've literally just the other week it was the 20th anniversary of my marriage. And that was just when the first season of Doctor Who was on with Krista Eccleston. And we were it was really big. And also that was just when the Revenge of the Sith came out as well. And that was massive, all in sort of May 2005. And then you think of Star Wars with the Acolyte that we've had. And you see a Doctor Who with Hi Honey as the Doctor and running around and it's fuck it. It's really it's a real shame that they've taken a lot of these wonderful franchises and flushed them down the toilet. And I think it's I don't know why.
So your opinions on the spin-off series, The Land and the Sea?
It looks like boring shite. I don't know. It just doesn't look very interesting. I wasn't that. We talked about this before you came on. We were a bit underwhelmed with the trailer.
That's what I. Yeah, because when I saw that, it pops up after the episode on.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And I watched it. I thought, all right, right. And I looked at it, and I thought the trailer it offered. There were no. It was just that actor dude who's quite famous, that fella, I forget, it was him running about and being like forlorn and this fish chick stood there like who were blue.
Is that our character's name? Fish Chick.
Well,
Hello, I'm Fish Chick. I'm from below the sea. Go on.
Yeah, this fish chick, and obviously you could tell there were like some kind of he's going to get off with her, and there's going to be some sort of race war, fish chick people,
But as I understand it, all we're getting is so we've had the Silurian episode that was just them battling and then killing them all, and then we had the fucking Sea Devil episode, which was just the exact same storyline, but with Sea Devils this time.
Yeah.
Then we got the third one, which was both of them, where the Sea Devils have now been reduced to fucking foot soldiers. Three fucking Silurians.
Yeah.
Then they brought the Silurians back in New Who, and that was terrible. One of the worst villain. I mean, all of the classic characters they brought back have been fucking appallingly bad, but that was one of the worst. And then now we're just basically going to get the same storyline rehashed and dragged out over fucking 8 episodes, and the fucking Doctor's not even going to be in it. It just I don't see it.
So have the fish chick people always been there then?
I don't know. I assume whether are they Silurians or Sea Devils or another.
Well, they didn't look like him. She was look like blue fish.
I don't know. I don't know. I will watch it. We'll review it, and we'll probably
so watch it again. You get 2 quick flashes of like a kind of a big-eyed dragon. So basically, you know what the Silurians look like before they took their mask off.
Yeah.
In the new series, it kind of looks like that, but with a more elongated kind of face, and he's just ducks his head up over the water. I'm sure. Watch it again.
I haven't seen it. I only gave it a quick look the first time. All right.
So so this woman might not even be a fucking sea devil. We don't really know.
Just a fish chick. Well, I'm going to wrap up now because I'm out of nearly time for Zoom. So thank you guys. There's one film I'm going to check out. I don't know whether you two want to review it. Have you ever seen Millennium with Chris Christopherson?
Yeah, I covered that, and I made a documentary about it.
Do you want to review it?
It's terrible.
Well, I know that I've not seen it.
Yeah.
How come would you be up for that? Have you seen that?
Yeah, maybe. I've never seen it. Never heard of it.
It's on YouTube. Do you want me to send you a copy? Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Find it on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
It's an unusual film. Is that it? It was very big on VHS. But then
I just saw a trailer for it, and I thought, you know what? I've never seen that, and I thought I'm going to give it a go.
Have you never seen it?
Never seen it.
It's an unusual film. It bombed at the cinema big time. And
I heard that's what it's actually a top 10.
When it came on VHS, it sort of fluctuated, and it's actually, when I made this, could have been a classic about it, and people said, "Oh, I remember that." It's not a bad film.
All right.
Not a lot of people have heard of it now. It's
they'll hear about it in 2 weeks' time when we do the next review. So as we've got less than a minute, I'm going to shoot off, guys. Thank you very much.
2 weeks after that, I'm going to renew my my want to review Sleeper with Woody Allen.
Okay, sounds cool. Brilliant. Okay, we'll stay in touch, guys, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time on the Solo on Sci-Fi podcast.
Yep.
Live long
and prosper.
Bye.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission today, well, it's to unpack a pretty interesting stack of sources. Specifically, we've got this audio recording. It captures a really free-flowing discussion among some quite passionate science fiction fans.
Yeah, and our goal here is to pull out the most, interesting bits, the nuggets of knowledge and insight from their conversation. They were talking all about recent TV shows, movies, mostly in the sci-fi and fantasy space.
Think of this as your shortcut, really.
Mm-hmm.
A way to get inside some strong opinions, some very strong opinions, and the key talking points doing the rounds among viewers. About the big players, Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek, plus some other popular shows they've been keeping up with.
It's definitely a candid snapshot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shows you what's hitting home with this particular group of pretty dedicated viewers, and maybe more often what really isn't landing for them.
Okay, let's dive in then. Let's unpack this. So where did the source material kick things off?
Well, they started off with a sort of broader look at the current TV and movie landscape in general. Gave us some context before they really got stuck into the main event. And quite a big chunk of that initial chat was on Star Wars, specifically the Disney Plus stuff.
Right, Star Wars. And the reactions there, They were pretty varied just within that one franchise, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Like the source indicated that shows like The Mandalorian, they actually found them better on a second viewing. One person even said season 3 improved for them the second time.
Oh, really? Season 3?
Yeah. They put its success down to that episodic structure, kind of like reading individual comic books, you know?
But that positive vibe didn't stretch across the board, did it?
Oh, far from it. The Book of Boba Fett, generally disliked. The main complaint was Boba Fett felt, well, sidelined in his own show, not the classic bounty hunter they were expecting. And there was strong criticism, too, about the focus shifting to the Grogu storyline. One person specifically said they just didn't enjoy Ming-Na Wen's roles, like, across different things she's been in.
Okay. And Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sounds like it landed in a similar sort of space for them.
Yeah, pretty much. Only found it maybe slightly better on a rewatch, but still got labeled pretty bad.
Any specifics?
Yeah, they picked up on a plot point they found illogical. The whole thing about tracking Obi-Wan when, well, his destination was Alderaan seemed obvious to them. They were like, why is that driving the plot?
Right, okay. And Ahsoka. The source seemed particularly rough on that one.
They really were. It got called out directly for plot holes and nonsense and stupidity. Pretty harsh.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently one of them is rewatching season 1 right now, maybe hoping it clicks better, but you know, season 2 isn't expected till 2026, so that's a long wait if you're not convinced.
And the Acolyte didn't seem to do much better from the sound of it.
No, minimal interest there in going back for a rewatch. One person said there was nothing in it for them, really. The only point they mentioned was seeing this, like, brief glimpse of what they thought might be Darth Plagueis' hand, which, interestingly, made them plan to actually read the Darth Plagueis' book to get some background.
But, okay, amidst all that fairly critical reaction to the recent Star Wars TV shows, there was one they liked. Seemed to break the pattern.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew. They genuinely enjoyed that one. Described it as doing exactly what it said on the tin, you know, kids hijacking a ship.
Right.
They explicitly said it was more enjoyable for them than Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, and The Acolyte, though they did point out that's a different kind of show to The Mandalorian, obviously.
And beyond the current shows, do they talk about, like, the future, where Star Wars might be headed?
Their take was that maybe Lucasfilm is shifting focus back to movies, back to the cinema, and maybe TV could end up being mostly animation.
Interesting. But did they like the animated stuff?
Well, that's the thing. Despite mentioning animation, they also seemed pretty disinterested in Clone Wars and Rebels. They kind of viewed them as just background reading, homework you had to do to understand the live-action shows rather than something they enjoyed on its own.
Gotcha. Okay, so moving past Star Wars then, what other shows and movies cropped up in their chat?
Silo got mentioned. One of them was still kind of slogging through season 2, found it a real drag, apparently, and plotty. Though they did admit the ending is supposed to be a mindfuff, and they did praise Rebecca Ferguson's performance in it.
Okay, well, good news for Fallout fans, maybe. At least from this source's view.
Definitely. Yeah, they seemed pleased about season 3 getting confirmed. And season 2 is expected by the end of this year, apparently.
Right. The Last of Us also came up, didn't it? With some pretty strong feelings about season 2.
Yeah, there were comments about hearing, well, reviews for season 2. They'd liked season 1, but one person really disliked season 2 after a specific character death. It was pretty clearly implied to be Joel. And the source even quoted a reviewer who was incredibly harsh about the focus shifting to the 2 teenage girls. So it really highlights how negative that plot direction landed for some viewers.
Russian doll, that was in there too.
It was. Like season 1, you know, the time loop idea, but felt season 2 just completely lost it, changed the whole concept, the perspective. Natasha Lyonne got a mention too.
Any DC stuff.
Stargirl, yeah. One had finished season 1, described it as, you know, part of the DC universe, focusing on the successors to the Justice Society of America. Found it a bit kiddified, was the phrase, but okay overall. Mentioned it got canceled after season 3, though.
And a couple of films were mentioned as maybe ones to look at later.
That's right. Millennium. One person saw a trailer, was interested, but hadn't actually seen it. Described it as this unusual film that bombed at the box office but then did well on VHS, called it a potential, could have been a classic. So they plan to maybe review that down the line.
Okay.
And Sleeper, the Woody Allen film, was also on their list for a future review.
Right. And finally, before we get to the main event, Star Trek also popped into the conversation.
Yeah, they touched on the sort of overall health of the franchise, some concerns about a potential decline, actually. Mentioned the Sundance Skydance talks, possibly meaning less output in future.
But there were confirmed shows, right?
Yeah, definite confirmations, at least 2 more seasons of Strange New Worlds and 2 seasons of Starfleet Academy.
Okay.
And there was some speculation that Strange New Worlds might even get a 5th season, which would bring it to 50 episodes. They kind of contrasted that with the old days of like 26-episode seasons.
How do they feel about Strange New Worlds itself? Seemed a bit of a mixed reaction.
Yeah, a mixed bag was the exact description. They liked that it felt more like traditional Trek, you know, people on a ship exploring.
Yeah.
They highlighted specific episodes, loved the storybook episodes, and it felt like classic Trek, but really, really disliked the musical episode.
Ah, the musical. Always divisive.
Totally. They felt it taints the franchise, even referenced Buffy's musical episode. Seemed to be a general dislike for musical episodes across the board for them.
And the animated show, Lower Decks.
Found it boring, apparently, and not funny. They had this view that Star Trek just shouldn't be comedy. And even though Lower Decks leans into in-jokes, one person was like, still not funny to me. Led to a bit of worry that maybe the same team is doing Starfleet Academy. There was a brief mention comparing it to Rick and Morty, noting one of the people in the discussion does like Rick and Morty, which just shows, you know, different tastes even in that group.
And the idea of Trek trying other genres, like sitcoms or horror.
Nope, not popular. Met with clear dislike. It fed into this wider point they were making about big franchises trying to bend the parameters. Maybe too much. They felt Trek had already done enough bendy bits lately.
Okay, right. Here we go then. This is where it gets really interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the absolute bulk, I mean, the real weight of the source material dives deep and pretty critically into recent Doctor Who, specifically that latest season and its finale.
Oh yeah, this was the main event. The episode titles they mentioned were Wish and Reality War.
And the overall reaction, let's just say it wasn't glowing.
That's putting it mildly. Yeah. The finale got called S, ludicrous nonsense, and unbelievable, repeatedly. The criticism was, well, sharp and pretty comprehensive.
Okay, let's break some of that down. What were their specific issues with the plot, how it all wrapped up?
Pacing was a huge one. They felt the main story, you know, the Omega conflict, it just got wrapped up way too fast, like 35 minutes or something.
Right.
And then it was followed by what they called this dragging thing for the last half hour, all focused on a child character, Poppy.
Poppy, who was in Space Babies.
Apparently. But the source mentioned they couldn't even clearly remember her, which tells you something about how impactful that whole final segment felt to them.
Yeah. What about the actual plot mechanics, the ideas driving it?
They questioned some of the core concepts, like this idea that just a 1% reality shift could potentially kill the Doctor. That felt off to them. And the whole wish world concept being central to resolving things also met with skepticism.
And the villain, Omega.
Yeah.
Classic villain returning. How did that land?
Big disappointment for them, seems like. Omega was described visually as just a monster thing. Not the powerful, you know, helmeted figure they expected from Classic Who. The look itself was a major point of criticism.
The Rani also showed up, right? But not quite as expected.
Yeah, she appeared, but they felt she acted much more like the Master. A complete change of character was the phrase used.
Okay.
And then, like, almost immediately she was eaten, which just made them ask, why? Why bring back the Rani and change her so much just for her to be dispatched like that? Why not use a different villain?
Right. And what about plot threads from, you know, the last couple of years? Did those get resolved? Tied up nicely?
According to this source, absolutely not. Mrs. Flood, after 2 years of build-up, her significance was deemed totally pointless.
Wow.
And the bigger stuff, like the Pantheon of God saga, the character of Susan, all mentioned as just forgotten, dropped threads, basically, unexplained.
Okay. And then the ending, the regeneration, the bit that got everyone talking.
Oh yeah, the shock, the surprise, it was intense. One person actually joked about kicking coffee tables when the regeneration started and finished with Billie Piper.
Right, that moment.
Yeah.
And naturally, that led to a whole bunch of theories among them, I imagine.
It really did. Some saw it as maybe just a gimmick, purely to get attention, get people talking for the 2 years until the show's back. And speculation immediately jumped to how on earth they're going to resolve this. Ideas flew around, maybe a Christmas special fixes it. Potentially written by Stephen Moffat, some hoped, or, you know, more complex theories.
What was the main theory they seemed to latch onto?
The bi-generation link theory seemed to be the big one, stemming from that previous multi-doctor thing where David Tennant's 14th Doctor split off from Ncuti Gatwa's 15th.
Oh, right.
So this theory goes that this new regeneration weirdness might actually need the 14th Doctor to come back. The idea being that the Billie Piper form is just like a temporary shell, linked somehow to the TARDIS and Rose, echoing that whole Bad Wolf connection.
Interesting. And this theory even stretched as far as suggesting this whole controversial ending could be a way to, well, kind of hit the reset button.
Exactly. That was part of the speculation. Could this be a device to basically reset the show, maybe even roll it back to Jodie Whittaker regenerating into David Tennant, and then just blame the whole last season or so on the Toymaker?
Like the Dallas shower scene.
They literally made that comparison as a way to just retcon everything that happened recently. It really shows you how desperate they felt for some kind of explanation that could, restore what they saw as lost quality.
Okay. Shifting focus a bit from the plot itself to the person steering the ship, there was a lot of criticism aimed at the showrunner, Russell T Davies, wasn't there?
Oh, yes. His writing style, especially how he wraps up plot lines, got described very harshly. Absolutely S at resulting was the quote.
Wow.
The feeling was he relies too much on just like a wave of his magic wand and some tears to fix everything instead of, earned resolutions. They compared it negatively to earlier RTD episodes they felt handled endings better.
And there were also some strong opinions voiced about the show's messaging, or perceived messaging.
Yeah, the source specifically claimed the showrunner forces his personal perspectives and agendas. Now, it's really important we stress, this is their viewpoint, okay? Their interpretation of the show's messaging and how they felt it was being delivered.
Right.
The source felt very strongly that you can have diversity in different themes, but they didn't like what they described as ramming stuff down your throat. They even referenced a specific argument they'd had in the past about how gay characters were presented. So it highlights the sensitivity, maybe not to the themes themselves, but to the perceived way they were being presented.
Got it. And how ideas were handled more generally.
There was a pretty pointed accusation thrown out there that he steals ideas from fan discussions, from social media, because, and this is a direct quote again, he hasn't got one in his own F brain. That's reflecting some deep frustration there.
Yeah, clearly. The conversation also touched on more practical things too, right? Like ratings, the iPlayer release strategy.
They did. They talked about releasing episodes early on iPlayer, saw it basically as an attempt to artificially G up ratings, pump up the numbers.
And they had strong feelings about live viewing versus catch-up.
Very strong, yeah. They really felt live viewing figures were the real measure of success and that catch-up views count for less regardless of how the BBC might officially count them. They even compared Doctor Who's ratings to things like Britain's Got Talent or football, arguing it just isn't must-watch TV for the general public anymore, maybe in the way it used to be perceived.
Okay. And Disney. Their involvement is always a big topic. That came up too.
It did, yeah. The source discussed Disney's role, based on the big funding figure that's out there, the $100 million, and the fact they handle international distribution.
But what was their interpretation of Disney's actual influence?
Interestingly, their view is that Disney had surprisingly limited input. More like a seat at the table than actual creative control. Yeah, they seem to think Disney's main concern was just making sure the content met their network standards, compliance stuff. The source actively pushed back against the idea that Disney was this big controlling force or somehow responsible for any perceived woke content.
How did they argue that?
Well, they pointed to other shows Disney distributes, like Sons of Anarchy or Breaking Bad, arguing those clearly aren't woke. So Disney wasn't pushing that kind of agenda across the board. That was their read on the situation anyway.
Okay. So pulling all those specific criticisms together.
Yeah.
The overall season rating from these fans must have been pretty low.
It was definitive and unanimous among them. They gave the season a 0 out of 10.
0. Wow. That's incredibly harsh. What was the main reason, the core reason for going that low?
The main drivers were what they called the sheer albatross factor and the massive drag factor of that finale. Just the overwhelming feeling that 2 whole years of buildup of storyline went absolutely nowhere and it achieved nothing. And they specifically felt it ruined 3 classic characters they mentioned. Omega, the Rani, and also Sutekh, who must have been part of the finale too.
So it sounds like just a profound sense of wasted time, wasted effort invested in the show.
Exactly. That was the core feeling. It actually led to them momentarily feeling quite disconnected, wondering if they should even bother continuing.
But did they say they would stop watching?
Well, interestingly, no. It was noted that even after feeling like giving up, they'd probably still watch the next series anyway. That loyalty, even through intense frustration, that's quite telling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Did they look back at other, maybe more recent eras for comparison?
They did. The Jodie Whittaker era got a mention. One person noted that rewatching some of those episodes, specifically mentioning the Flux Christmas special, positively actually felt a lot better compared to this recent dross, as they put it, though they admitted they didn't generally revisit that era much.
And the Capaldi era. Any specific comparisons there?
Yeah, they brought up a specific two-parter, an underwater base, maybe before the flood or under the lake. They held that up as an example of much stronger story writing compared to the last 2 years, even though it also had a big cliffhanger, which just led them to be confused, really. Why isn't the writing quality higher now, given these examples from the not-too-distant past?
Right. Okay, looking ahead slightly, they also talked about an upcoming spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea.
They did, and the reaction to the trailer they saw, decidedly negative.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, described as underwhelming, boring shite, and even god-awful, especially apparently when watched with the sound off.
And the look of it. The alien designs.
Criticisms there, too. Specific things like a bluish woman character and a shot of a sea devil peeking out were just deemed not good. Worse than the classic designs, according to them.
Okay, and the potential story, what were their fears there?
They seemed worried it would just be a retread. Another Silurian Sea Devil story, potentially involving a fish chick and some romance, maybe, with the Sea Devils reduced to just foot soldiers. And importantly, the Doctor isn't even in this spinoff.
Right. Finally, then, the source material also mentioned a few other theories. Speculation doing the rounds among fans.
Yeah, they rattled off a few, like who is Mrs. Flood? Is she Susan? Is she the Ronnie? Who's the boss at the Time Will Tell Susan again? The TARDIS itself, the new Doctor, even Candyman got thrown in there.
Candyman, okay.
Yeah. And that other theory that the Billy Piper regeneration isn't the Doctor at all, but actually the Ronnie, having finally succeeded in taking over the Doctor's body.
Wow. Lots of speculation driven by that ending. So, okay. What does all this really mean? We've done this deep dive into one specific snapshot of fan opinion, covering a really wide range of current sci-fi.
Well, it's clear, isn't it, that for this group anyway, there are some major frustrations bubbling up, especially with how these huge, long-standing franchises, Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek, are being handled creatively right now. We heard criticisms about, well, everything. Plot, character, pacing, even the perceived messages within the shows.
Yeah, and we've seen how very specific choices, like a really controversial finale ending or the way certain themes or, perceived agendas are presented, how much that can really impact the audience's perception and spark just intense debate and endless theorizing among the really dedicated viewers.
And it does raise a pretty important question, doesn't it? Especially now with these massive franchises dominating everything and online fan discussion being louder than ever. As creators try to navigate these really complex, long-running stories, how much does that passionate audience reaction, all that noise from online communities, how much does it really influence the creative direction they take?
And maybe more importantly, even when creators do seem to listen or react to that feedback, does it actually lead to outcomes that satisfy those most deeply invested, most passionate fans in the end?
Something to think about.
Definitely something to mull over.
Yeah.
Until our next deep dive.
Yeah, Michael Martin, Malcolm in the pod, so galactic. Talking Starfleet command, warp speed, it's automatic. Malcolm with the critique, his words cut surgical. A tough customer, his reviews always vertical. Doctor Who's tardy spinning tales, that's eternal. Star Wars debates, Jedi, Sith, internal, infernal. Martin keeps it smooth, the mediator with style. Michael hates Batman, his ranting goes for miles. Solar One in the zone, where the nerds all connect. From galaxies afar to time loops that intersect. Michael Martin, Malcolm with their voices so distinct. Beam me up, Scotty, pour another sci-fi drink. Michael goes savage, claims the bat ain't legit. A cape and a mask, to him it's kinda counterfeit. Meanwhile, Martin's the balance, eases all the tension. But Malcolm drops a roast session at every convention. Is Star Trek better, or maybe Star Wars Prime? And what about the Daleks hunting foes across time? Malcolm's critiques hit heavy, sharper than a saber. Opinions fly wild like lasers, they never waver. Sci-fi debates with a touch of chaotic flavor. Michael's hot takes don't do Batman any favor. Martin chill like hot, steady like the Force. Malcolm critiquing hard is the show's main course. Yep, Doctor Who's tardy spinning tales, that's eternal. Star Wars debates, Jedi, Sith, internal, infernal. Martin keeps it smooth, the mediator with style. Michael hates Batman, his ranting goes for miles. Solar One in the zone where the nerds all connect. From galaxies afar to time loops that intersect. Michael, Martin, Malcolm with their voices so distinct. Beam me up, Scotty, pour another sci-fi drink. Yeah. Solar One in the zone where the nerds all connect. From galaxies afar to time loops that intersect. Michael, Martin, Malcolm with their voices so distinct. Beam me up, Scotty, pour another sci-fi drink. Yeah. Michael goes savage, claims the bat ain't legit. A cape and a mask, to him it's kinda counterfeit. Meanwhile, Martin's the balance, eases all the tension. But Malcolm drops a roast session at every convention. Is Star Trek better, or maybe Star Wars Prime? And what about the Daleks hunting foes across time? Malcolm's critiques hit heavy, sharper than a saber. Opinions fly wild like lasers, they never waver. Sci-fi debates with a touch of chaotic flavor. Michael's hot takes don't do Batman any favor. Martin chill like hot, steady like the Force. Malcolm critiquing hard is the show's main course. Yeah, is Star Trek better, or maybe Star Wars Prime? And what about the Daleks hunting foes across time? Malcolm's critiques hit heavy, sharper than a saber. Opinions fly wild like lasers, they never waver. Sci-fi debates with a touch of chaotic flavor. Michael's hot takes don't do Batman any favor. Martin chill like hot, steady like the Force. Malcolm critiquing hard is the show's main course. Star Trek better, or maybe Star Wars Prime? And what about the Daleks hunting foes across time? Malcolm's critiques hit heavy, sharper than a saber. Opinions fly wild like lasers, they never waver.